Hey, what's up, guys? It's Will back once again for some fight card predictions, and this one is going to be a good one. UFC 285, the return of the greatest of all time, in my opinion, and Jon Jones as he faces off against former interim UFC heavyweight champion Bongamin Ciryl Gane in our main event, with Valentina Shevchenko defending our UFC flyweight title against Alexa Grasso in the co-main event. Really looking forward to this card. A lot of good fights throughout the card. Coming off, I'll probably say it's my biggest betting week ever. I seem to just land everything that I looked at last week. If you follow me on Twitter, you seen I was hitting these stupid parlays. I was hitting my official plays and then just hitting all the parlays on the side as well. So I was doing really, really well with everything last week. Picks were okay as well. And like I say, I'm just really looking forward to kind of talking about this card. I will say beforehand, it might be a little bit noisy. I've got some workers in the house right now, so and I'm not going to have much chance to kind of do this through the week. So if you hear anything, I really, really do apologise, but I've tried to kind of keep that at a minimum, and they're kind of at the far side of where my house is. So yeah, the return of Jon Jones, something very, very special, in my opinion. Been waiting for this, especially for him to go up to heavyweight. And this is just going to be a really special fight. And I know there'll be a few people watching this that I've spoken to already regarding how I think the main event's going to go. And yeah, it's just an interesting fight. So let me just get this screen set up for you guys. And then I'll get into the topology side of things. It should be good to go. And there we go there. So UFC 285 from the T-Mobile Arena in the great city of Las Vegas. Kind of chomping at the bit to get back out there. I'll be honest with you, it's been a bit too long, so would love to kind of get out there. I've been there for a Jon Jones fight. I think it was UFC 197, and it was a great week. It was a great card, actually, when you go back and look at the people that were on that card. Your Robert Whitakers, your Yair Rodriguez, Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo. There was just fighters everywhere. Fili was on there. There was some Barboza Pettis. It was such a good fight card. One of my favourite ones I've ever been to. But massive fight here in the heavyweight division to determine who's the new UFC champion. But obviously, we're not going to start at the top. I always start at the bottom. So this is one I've not looked into all that much, but it's one that got thrown together over the last couple of days. After Kamil Kirk was kind of pulled out of that one. I think he got an injury there. Luik Radzhabonov against Esteban Ribovics here. And this guy I'm very familiar. I've not watched too much. I'm going to watch a little bit more as the week goes on. He's a guy that I knew through the PFL. He's the guy that comes from Tajikistan, like Ali from last week, which was crazy, the amount of fans that they had watching that guy. And this is going to be the second dude that's coming in here from Tajikistan, I believe. So yeah, he's got a solid 16-4 in one record, a lot of experience against 11-0 Ribovics there coming out of Argentina. And as you can see there, the topology people have the Ribovics side in this one there. So we'll start off with Radzhabonov. Like I say, I am a little bit familiar with him. I think when I look at striking, I lean the more cleaner striking on the Ribovic side, but I think this guy can grapple. He's also got power. I mean, you look at his wins. He fought Eagle FC, was his last fight. That stuff, I watched that fight live, but I've not watched anything back since. I've watched the Manflow one. I want to say that would have been a little while back. I watched that one when 2021. I watched it before then, and he's solid. I mean, he can do a lot of kind of different things. He has some big power. I just don't like the fact he's coming in here very, very, very short notice. But I do think he can grapple really, really hard here and win kind of rounds through that. But I am a little bit troubled about the short notice nature of the fight, cutting weight, coming in here against the guy who's undefeated, very, very confident, and Ribovics here. This is one, like I say, throughout the week I'm going to look into this a little bit more, but I know there is some love. I've had some people that have tweeted me some DMs asking about this Ribovics guy. I'm not overly familiar with him, but I did see this brutal knockout here of Thomas Paul. He's a British guy, I believe, out there, Manchester. And he caught him with that absolutely beautiful shot, knocked him out. Very, very clean striker. A little bit flat-footed, but like I say, he can throw in combination combination strikes. But like I say, coming from that regional scene out there, this Samurai Fight House, this is one that I think it was Prado. Might have been one that I remember watching fights from. Aileen Perez might have been another one. So all your kind of Argentine kind of up-and-comers kind of come from there. And that's not really the greatest look, honestly. But like I say, this is one I've not looked into all that much. I'm going to look into that, like I say, as the week kind of goes on. I'm going to lean on the Rakhmonov side, just with the fact I think he can grapple, win minutes through his grappling. But if he sits here and takes some shots, I think he could be in some dangerous spots in this one, and he could get his chin checked a little bit. But for me, I'm going to pick Loic, but like I say, not confident because I've not looked into it that much. Farid Basharat against Damon, Damon, Black Shear. This is one, like I say, if you've been around my channel for probably 4, maybe 5 years, I've been battering on about the Basharat brothers, Javid, and now Farid here is coming into the UFC. The brothers are really good. Javid's obviously very, very, very a high skill fighter, very, very good IQ, very good striking, fights just very well. Farid, to me, I've always, I know Javid's really good. I always thought Farid was a little bit better. There was something I just seen in him that I liked. This is at bantamweight, which I think at flyweight he might be, honestly, I think majority of his fights. Let me just see. Sorry. I'm sure a majority of Basharat's fight are actually at 125. Well, I could be wrong. For some reason, I think it was. Yeah, maybe it was 135. But like I say, a very, very solid fighter. He's not really fought the greatest opposition in the world, has Farid. But what he has done is just fought really, really well in those fights. Fighting out of England, obviously they are based in that. I think it's a Syndicate MMA, I want to say, or Extreme Couture in Las Vegas, him and his brother, and they're around great fighters all the time. They're always getting good looks. Extreme Couture, being blind there. It was looking at me right there. But like I say, 25 years old, very, very young. Like I say, this is going to be, in my opinion, a kind of a bigger step up because he's not fought anything really great. Coming through the kind of British scene and the European scene here, like 0-0. 0-2, 4-0. I don't know how much you can really take away from that. 16-8-1. That's a guy that's got a lot of, and plus he's coming from the Octagon promotion. That is a very reputable promotion out there. Then you've got Guzman there, 6-4. Bugozo 7-1-1. So yeah, he's fought okay competition. But this will be a step up. I actually thought Damon Blackshear actually really fought hard in his UFC debut against Yusuf Salal. Got a draw there, came into it. I want to say it was short notice. He came in there and fought really, really hard. Looked really, really good in some spots. And like I say, just fought hard, but Zalal kind of faded off a little bit and gave him the opportunity to kind of really get into that fight there, if I remember right. But yeah, I'm not going to stray away from the kind of technical Basharat brothers just yet. I think Farid, this should be a really good spot for him. His betting line's heavy. He's a heavy favourite. Like there is a lot of them in this one here. I won't be playing that as a pick though. Farid Basharat will be my pick. Jessica Penney against Tabitha Ricci. I've got Ricci in this one here. I think that the more exuberant younger fighter here, for me, Penny's just kind of on her way out. I mean, she's coming off that L to Dakota, got herself a couple of wins there over Carolina, and she lost that fight against Lupe Godinez. I've got no doubt in my mind when I watched that fight back that she should have lost that one, but sometimes you get things that go your way, where you've got Tabitha Ricci wins over Poliana Viana, Maria Oliveira, and that loss to Manon Fierro, which I think she came in there on short notice, and Fierro is within the top 5 of that division. So, and she was probably fighting up at 125 when she is a strawweight. So, where I see Penny having an opportunity to win this fight is if she can get the back, if she can establish in the back, look for submissions, and that's kind of where I think her overall chance to win this fight comes from. I don't think she outstrikes Ricci. I think that Ricci is she is very, very small for her age, small for her size, I should say. She's 5'1", so she is tiny for the division, but she's dogged. I know she's around some decent fighters with Mackenzie Dern. I think I've seen her with Natalia Silva, so she's putting herself around some really decent fighters, and but like I say, she's 40. Striking's not overly great. She's not going to use her reach. Something she's not overly did well over the years is can I use her reach that she's had. I'm going to take the overall kind of grappling. I think she can get takedowns. Maybe put Penny on her back. Just be very, very careful with her P's and Q's down there. So I'll take Tabitha Ricci in this one. This one here is one that's caught my attention. If you just give me a little second, guys, I'm just going to literally push this off. I'm just going to shut this door, sorry. Sorry, I've got some guys in doing some work. So, Manny Martinez, Cameron Saaiman. This is one I've got my eye on, and I looked into quite a lot yesterday. This Cameron kid, I mean, he's one of these new age kind of fighters, very, very young in his career. He's one of these babies that was born after the year 2000, so that's kind of scary. Coming out of South Africa, aligned with Dricus du Plessis. I think that's a really good guy actually to align yourself with, come up with, because I think du Plessis is one of the, probably he is the best fighter actually to come out of South Africa. But I think when I look at the betting lines here and I look at some of the fights, I think that this, to me, especially betting wise, I'm a better. This, how do you justify making this young kid minus 300? In my opinion, and I think that if you've got an eye on this fight and you're a better, I think you bet the Martinez side. I think he's got a lot of things to like. There's a lot of things I don't particularly like with him. But what we've seen from Manny Martinez, and you've seen this before in the UFC, before he came to the UFC, is that he's got really good striking. The guy's powerful and he drops a lot of dudes. But he can also be dropped. That's another thing there. If you look at the Ronnie Lawrence fight, I think he got dropped 3 times, and then he dropped Ronnie Lawrence a couple of times. The Brandon Davis fight, he dropped him a couple of times there. So the guy's got really big power if he can put it on your chin. But the one thing that I don't like is I think his mindset. I think he doubts himself a little bit. I think he gets in his own head. But like he's plus 240, I think, here in the UK. I think that line should be far less. So when you look at the Saaiman side, he fought Stephen Kozlow in his UFC debut. And you've seen where his deficiencies kind of lie in that one there. He got taken down 5 times, but he worked his way back to his feet, got into that 3rd round, caught him here with a beautiful, beautiful knee, and then just absolutely started winding him up on the feet and getting that standing TKO for probably his biggest win in his career, obviously fighting the UFC on a pay-per-view. And these guys, I'm not taking a hell of a lot away from this fight. Even though he did have a fairly decent record, but then he's got all the kind of EFC wins, and you kind of know fighters that come out of EFC are not overly talented whatsoever outside your Dricus du Plessis and a few others. I do like a lot what this kid's offering. I think he's going to be a very good fighter kind of going forward. I just think Manny Martinez, a couple of things that I kind of have a little bit of a doubt, it's just he doubts himself. I think he can get caught. I think his chin's not the greatest. I don't know what he's been doing for training. I'm guessing it's been back in Texas for the simple reason that's where he came from, but it was Glory MMA before. That's not going to be the case now. But for me, I'm going to pick Manny Martinez. I'm probably going to, I think I have to bet him at those odds. I'll take a unit shot on him. Because he can land shots on this kid. I have absolutely no doubt about it, but I can also see the kid landing shots back. But I don't want to bet Saaiman at minus 300. This is a bigger step up from your Kozlow fight to a guy who's fought kind of real guys out there. So I'll take Mana Martinez. I'm actually going to take him via TKO in the second round there. So Mana Martinez for the win there. We'll probably take a little dog shot here. This is a guy I'm looking forward to watching. This guy gets a shit ton of hate, but I think he's a really good fighter. Ian Garry against Kenen Song. I know all about this, kind of watched all of his fights through Cage Warriors coming up. People say he's cocky. He's just a super confident guy. You've seen that from the get-go. And that really exudes as his careers went on, and he's been getting better. He's still very young in the sport. 10-0 undefeated. I think he's 2-0, 3-0 in the UFC. 3-0 Jordan Williams getting that stoppage in now. That wasn't the greatest look. He was getting tagged a little bit, getting hit a little bit there. But in saying that, it was his debut in MSG and a pay-per-view. Darian Weeks, that was just another good kind of matchmaking for him to really get some more octagon time. And then this one here against Gabriel, I thought he looked great. And now he's ballooned up to a minus, I think he's minus 500 over here in the UK. And he's a massive favourite. And for me, I've seen people poo-poo on this guy, saying he's not going to be in the UFC rankings, like the top 15. He's not a top 20 fighter. He is, and he's going to show you. Like I say, he's moved his life from out of Ireland, out of the UK, went to Kilcliff. From what I hear, he's doing great things over in Kilcliff. His training partners are Jason Jackson's, that's over in Bellator, Gilbert Burns. They're all talking about this kid, how hard he works, how he's kind of progressing with his skill set and so on. And he's shown it all. And I think this is a good fight to make. You've got Kenen Song, a hefty UFC veteran, but he's not beat the best guys. Derek Krantz, Callum Potter, Hector Aldana, took L's to Morono, Max Griffin. I think Max Griffin's a really solid fighter. So you know where I'm going in this one here. 25, and if he's at Kilcliff, predominantly getting better with guys all the time. And like I say, he's shown he can grapple in fights. Like, he's got knockout power. The Jack Grant one, he's shown he's got takedown defense. Jack Grant is a fairly reputable fighter here out here in the UK with a lot of experience. I'm a big Ian Garry fan, have been for a very long time. I think this is more good matchmaking. I think he takes out. I actually think he's going to take out Song Kenen. I think it's going to be his first stoppage. He knocked out Jordan Williams, didn't he? So second stoppage. I think he's going to land on the chin of Kenen Song and really put him on wobbly legs and put him out. I'm going to look at betting maybe Ian Garry inside the distance if I can get a decent number in that one. I don't know what it would be, but Ian Garry is going to be my pick there. Julian Marquez against Marc-Andre Barriault. I think this is actually a really good fight for Marc-Andre Barriault. You see, he's minus 125. I wish I could have if I could get that number, I'd probably bet him. But he's minus 150 over here in the UK. I like his pace and his cardio. I think this is where he's going to win this fight. Like I say, if he can protect his chin, not get hit, that's his best chance, in my opinion, is Julian Marquez coming out here and landing the kill shot. I think if he doesn't do that, this guy and Barriault's going to run away with his cardio, his output, his toughness, and just really do more than Julian Marquez. This guy will gas. It's been a predominant thing throughout the majority of his career, but the guy has got fight level and power that can change the fights in seconds. So coming off that loss to Robocop, beat Sam Alvey, beat Maki Pitolo. And the one thing I do like about him is he does fight hard into late in the fight. I think that Pitolo one was late in the third round. So the guy's got a lot of heart, and like I say, he's a hard guy to put out. Barriault's coming off tough L to Anthony Hernandez. Hernandez looked amazing in that fight. He looks like a progressing fighter at the minute. It's something to keep an eye on. Beat Jordan Wright and lost and got knocked out by Chirin Njokuani. So like I say, I'm picking Marc-Andre Barriault. I think the cardio advantage is enough for me to side with him, and I think that if Marquez can't land that kill shot, I think Barriault does more in rounds and wins rounds. So for me, I'm going to pick Marc-Andre Barriault there. Viviane Araujo against Amanda Ribas. Another very close fight, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of both girls. I like Ribas as a prospect. I have done since she came into the UFC, and I think I can't remember what fight it was. It might have been a debut where I bet her as an underdog. I couldn't believe I was getting underdog odds on her there. Better overall, crisper, cleaner striker, in my opinion, is Viviane Araujo. She is a lot older, I want to say. 36 to 29. So I don't overly like her gas tank, but that's going to be something that kind of comes to fruition past your 7-8 minute mark of the fight, kind of midway part. She is coming off L's to Alexa Grasso, fighting for a belt. Caitlin Chookagian was another L in there, and that's not the worst kind of L in her career. Beat Andrea Lee, that's a good win. So, and then you've got Roxanne and you've got Montana De La Rosa, good wins also. She will have the definitive striking advantage, the fluidity of her strikes initially in the early part. So you can probably see her winning maybe round one if it does stay standing. I think she will land more strikes. Where I think if Ribas was to maybe get the fight to the ground, I think she could definitely win the round through that. It's when it kind of gets into the later part of this one, and I think that Ribas can maybe come into the fight. Now, I don't trust her chin all that much, Amanda Ribas. We've seen, even before she went to the UFC, I think it was Viviane knocked her out. We've had Marina Rodriguez knock her out. Not taking anything away from that, because Marina's a good overall kickboxer. And she's also coming off that L to Caitlin Chookagian, which I actually thought that Ribas should have probably won. So, on the ground, though, I think that Ribas will have an advantage if she gets into some submission positions. I do think she can have enough output to kind of rival Viviane Araujo, but I do think the overall better striking is from Viviane Araujo. But just overall as a fighter, I'm leaning Ribas in a close split decision fight. I don't know if she gets to underdog status in this one. I think she's like minus 110 in the US. If it hits that over here, there's a good chance she might hit plus money. If she hits plus money, I wouldn't be surprised if I kind of jumped in there at a plus money bet in a close fight. But for me, I'm going to pick Amanda Ribas. I just think she does a little bit more in this one and wins a very, very close fight. But probably a better thing to do is probably not bet this fight, because, like I said, I do think it's got all the opportunities to be a very, very close one if nobody gets taken out. Derek Brunson against Dricus du Plessis in the middleweight division. I have to give props to Dricus. He's really impressed me. I thought he was going to come into the UFC. I thought he could be a fringe top 15 fighter. But he's shown he's a little bit more than that, honestly. I think that he's a guy that's just progressing, kind of coming to the prime of his division. And he's shown that with the wins that he's had. I mean, good, solid wins, even from the get-go. This is, like I say, if you go further back, he's got wins over this guy. Soldic is an absolute beast, in my opinion. If you know about that guy. I really wish the UFC picked him up, but he went to one. But I don't know if we'll ever see him in the UFC. But Marcus Perez, big power. That shows in a lot of his fights. Trevin Giles, big power. Brad Tavares, showing he's got big power there, and he's got output, and he can throw output for 15 minutes. And then he beat the ghost of Darren Till. I thought Darren Till was going to piece him up a little bit in that one there. But Darren Till has kind of been his way out. This is the fight that's going to put Dricus du Plessis out there, because I think absolutely think he can catch the chin of Derek Brunson here. I think this is the passing of the torch from a guy that's been a top 5 guy, fought some of the best guys in the division, to, I mean, he's fought everyone. Your Tills, your Hollands, your Shabazins, your Cannoniers, your Adesanyas, so on and so on. This, to me, is Dricus's spot into that top 10. And I think if he doesn't get put in his back and get dominated down there, which Derek Brunson can do in some spots, I think that he catches the chin at some point and beats Derek Brunson, sorry. So for me, I'm picking Dricus du Plessis. I'm taking him via knockout. I think as this fight goes on, the cardio will wane with Derek Brunson. I think Derek Brunson's pretty much on his way out. I think it's just a good spot for Dricus to come out here and show his overall game. So for me, I'm going to pick Dricus du Plessis inside the distance, and I moved to 6-0 in the UFC, and he's been making progress with every fight. And they've been trying to put him with solid fighters: Muniz, Curtis, Hernandez, Gastelum. They've been trying to give him these good fights and he's winning them. So Dricus du Plessis is going to be my pick in that one there. Your big fight on the prelims before we hit the pay-per-view. Cody Garbrandt against Trevin Jones. I am a massive, massive Cody Garbrandt fan. Have been. I called this guy a champion when he made his UFC debut. When did he make his UFC debut, actually? Because that must have been a long time ago. 2015, that's crazy. 8 years. Wow. I was calling this guy a champion before he came into the UFC, and he went ahead and did that with one of the most unbelievable performances against Dominic Cruz that you've ever seen. I thought he fought an immaculate game plan in that fight. But since then, I mean, that's going back 2016. The guy's got one win in 6 years. He's been fighting top class opposition, but we all know where his deficiencies lie. He can't fight to a game plan. His chin's not there. Can be pulled into a firefight, and once you do that, you can knock this guy out. Round one, round two. Dillashaw is a beast. There was a lot of animosity with that one there. He also caught Dillashaw in some spots in that fight, but it was a very close fight with Assunção, and then caught him with that massive, spectacular right hook at the end of round number 2. But since then, got out hustled by Rob Font, and then he got caught moving down to flyweight against Kai Kara France, got knocked out there. If you can engage this guy, I think this was going to be a bad matchup as well. Against Ciryl Arce, his boxing was going to be too crisp. And now he's got Trevin Jones coming in here on short notice. Let's get that out of the way. Coming off that L to Ione Barcelos, the guy's fighting for his job. Absolutely. He's fought 3 absolute killers, though. Let's get that out of there. Rakhmonov let go by the UFC. There's a lot of people kicking off with that. But Basharat's going to be a top 10 guy. Ione's a ranked guy. So Trevin Jones, to me, like I said, I think he has to fight smart here. Just don't let Garbrandt kind of get his confidence, because if you give Garbrandt the opportunity to get his confidence up here, then he is a good boxer. He always has been a really solid boxer. But if you can get the red mist to descend on Cody Garbrandt, you can get this guy out of there if you can keep clean striking. And we've seen that Trevin Jones does have some big power. He does have some kind of stability in some of the rounds there, and he has shown some toughness. Garbrandt, to me, I don't know where his kind of heart, I don't think it lies in fighting anymore, personally. I know he's back here fighting, but is he putting in the hard reps like he used to? I don't believe so. I think he's kind of living off his previous fights where, and in doing so, I mean, he had such an ascent to the belt and the performance to match. You can't take that away from the kid. Still a massive fan. I think he's going to get knocked out. I think this could be the last we maybe see of Cody Garbrandt in the UFC. Honestly, we might see him in a PFL going forward or something else. It depends how big his contract is, obviously, but I'm sure he's making decent money. And if he will put on exciting fights. Don't get me wrong, he does that. I'm hoping for Cody to win this week. My pick is going to be Trevin Jones. I just don't trust his chin. I think if they're getting a firefight, I think Trevin could catch him with a shot, and as soon as he's on wobbly legs, I think it's a great opportunity to take him out. So Trevin Jones via TKO is my pick there. Moving on to the main card. There's been a lot of people I've seen kicking off with this recently, with fighters making their way onto pay-per-view cards. I think Raul Rosas, I think Chris Curtis was kicking off regarding that. We've got Bo Nickal here. I mean, I'm not going to waste too much of your time here. This kid looks an uber prospect in the making in Bo Nickal. I think he's a 3 or 4-time All-American, 3 or 4-time All-American NCAA champion. So the guy is an absolute beast. And you've kind of seen him. I mean, he knocked that. I think that's his first fight, is it? No, this guy, he knocked him dead inside 30 seconds. Got this guy out there very, very quick. Also got this guy out there very, very quick. And they're thrown in here against Jamie Pickett, who's a tough guy, a substandard kind of fighter in the UFC, but he's taking L's here, and he's taking another L here. I don't know. I'm not going to give you where Jamie Pickett wins this fight, because he's not the better wrestler. I don't think he's the better. Well, he could be the better striker. We've kind of really not seen all that much from Bo Nickal to say that he's the better fighter. For me, the better striker. For me, he's just going to take this guy down. He's going to submit him. I think that he's going to find a way to get. He's going to get a takedown where he's going to cut through him through a knife through butter, get that takedown. And then he's going to find a way to just roll up a submission. His wins was that triangle choke. That's the one there where he went to his back and threw up that triangle. I don't think he could catch Pickett in that one. Rear naked choke there. For me, Bo Nickal, round 1 submission is the play, if not round 2. This like I say, this shouldn't be. If this hits second round, I'd be majorly surprised. And I'd give my props to Jamie Pickett. But I think Jamie could be finding his walking papers after this one here. I think he's going to get thoroughly dominated against Bo Nickal, but this is MMA. You never know what could happen. He could catch him with a big shot. But for me, I'm going to pick Bo Nickal to win that fight via submission in round number 1. Mateusz Gamrot against Jalin Turner in the lightweight division. And Mateusz Gamrot's coming in here on short notice. I can't remember. Jalin Turner, was it Dan Hooker maybe? He was supposed to fight. That was going to be an interesting fight. Jalin Turner has looked amazing recently. I wrote this guy off pretty much about this one. I thought Kulabay was going to be that's actually a really good fight now. Kulabay's really progressed since then, a really solid fighter. But since then, Jalin Turner has really gained his confidence, shown his overall skill set. The Brock Weaver win there. Moving on to Medic, got a beautiful submission there. TKO the ever tough Jamie Malarkey. And then Brad Riddell, another big submission win. So the guy's obviously dangerous. He's dangerous in all facets for the simple reason he's got amazing length, and especially for that division, it's a hard thing to really overcome. Is that length, size, how he makes 155 is kind of crazy to me. His wingspan is unbelievable, and he's really shelling out to be. He's coming in his prime, like 27, 28. He's been around the sport a long time. Still think he can be cracked in the chin. I thought in that fight with Malarkey, he wobbled a little bit. Now, Malarkey throws heavy heat, but he's shown a little bit of composure, came through that. Maybe early in his career when he gets hit with that big shot, he struggles to really come through and get back on his feet and get back in the fight. But he's shown that recently, a lot of heart, a lot of determination. And this is a big fight because this guy takes down everybody, and he's took down great guys, and he can be heavy on top, and he can do it multiple times through a 15, 25-minute fight, which I've seen through his KSW days and in the UFC. And like I say, he's coming off an L to Beneil Dariush. I want to say he was the favourite, because I bet Beneil Dariush. I bet Beneil Dariush every fight. So that one there, I still think that Ciryl beat him, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Ciryl, obviously, though. But he's shown a really solid UFC career. Like I say, coming in here on short notice, he hasn't been at American Top Team, which he does for pretty much all his fights because of the short notice part of this fight. But he is still training out there with killers in Poland. Don't get it twisted. The team that he comes from, they have a lot of really good fighters, really solid grapplers, good strikers. Just like coming from the KSW scene. If you don't know about KSW, guys, if you get an opportunity to watch it, it's such a huge MMA promotion over here in Europe. You have no idea how big it is. It's huge. They sell out arenas, stadiums, which are going back to. They've did that in the past, and they really are a solid promotion, and they've got a lot of good fighters that fight in that promotion that he trains with. I just don't think Jalen's going to be able to stop the wrestling attack that this guy's going to show. I think he feints a lot. He's going to throw Jalin off a little bit. Not saying that Jalin couldn't catch him with a shot, because we have seen this guy hit with shots as well. I think it was Brock Weaver I seen took this guy down. If Brock Weaver is taking you down, I'd be very concerned that, like I say, that this guy's going to take you down. I've got no doubt about that he's going to take Jalin Turner down. Now, when it gets down there, that's when Jalen's length comes into play and his submission skills. Like, he's confident in his submissions right now, majorly. There's been a lot of love for Gamrot the last few days. The line has moved massively. That minus 170, you're not getting that anywhere over here in the UK. It's like minus 200 to minus 225 over here right now. I actually like him as a parlay piece this week. But again, I'm scared to go against Jalin Turner. I've did that in the past and been made to kind of pay for it. So I may just kind of sit back. We're only on Monday. We're not even at midday on Monday. And I kind of look into it as the fight goes on through the week. But I've got Gamrot to win a fairly dominant decision here. I think that he could win 30-27. But this guy is freaking dangerous, and his confidence is through the roof at the minute. So I'm not writing him out at all. I thought the Dan Hooker fight, he was going to smoke Dan Hooker. Honestly, I thought he was going to absolutely run through him. But for me, the pick's going to be Gamrot here. Where are we at? Geoff Neal against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Ooh, this fight. This guy, I mean, Shavkat, 16-0. Absolute brutalizer of a guy. Like, he is just... Look at his career here in the UFC. Submission, knockout, submission. The guy is dangerous in every facet. And this is why I love looking at regional MMA over here in the UK and Europe and the Russian scene or whatever else, because you see killers like this guy come through. And I've seen people write this guy off before. He was fighting cans, he was fighting nobody. This guy was fighting good guys and destroying them on the TKO, the M1 scene back in the day. And like I say, he's made in the last, he's been in the UFC 2 years. 2 years, he's got himself up to where he could pretty much put himself in the top 5 of this division. He's fighting a really dangerous striker in Geoff Neal, who's got great boxing. Coming off that win over Ponzinibbio, knockout of Vicente Luque, especially coming back after those 2 L's there to Wonder Boy and Magne, and that was falling, like he was in hospital for a little bit, so he's kind of got his bearings round about and comes from a great camp out there in Texas. Look at this, minus 500. I mean, you're getting great dog odds in this if you feel confident the Geoff Neal side. For me, I just can't see it. I think Shavkat is an uber prospect. I've already said that in here. He's another guy that I think will fight for a belt at 170. But this is definitely the toughest fight, I think, to date for him. I think that he could take out Geoff Neal. I think Geoff Neal is super durable, though. I think that he's hard guy to take out. So for me, I like the Rakhmonov side. I think just his overall game, how he flows in with his kicks into his striking, he can get takedowns, he's very long himself, can hurt you in many aspects. It's just hard to really pick against him here. When I watch Geoff Neal, like he's super solid, and the guy can put it on your chin. In saying that, we haven't seen him really take an uber clean shot. Rakhmonov, how does he take a kind of power shot? How does he react to that? How does he react to being hurt? Because it's not something we've seen all too much. But for me, the pick has to be Shavkat Rakhmonov. The guy's just an absolute killer coming out of there of Kazakhstan. So I'll take him. I'm actually going to take him via decision in that one there. Valentina Shevchenko against one of my crushes in Alexa Grasso. This girl is an absolute cutie. I met her in Vegas years ago, and she's such an amazingly pretty girl, but such a nice girl as well. And she's facing the bullet Valentina Shevchenko, who she's got herself some contenders coming up in this division, which are going to be difficult fights, and I think they're going to be a far more difficult fight than this one, honestly. I think that I would love to honestly see Alexa win. I just don't think she does. I think that Valentina, although she didn't look great against Talia Santos, every champion has kind of off nights. The pressure of having that belt, keeping that belt, you've heard about it. I've heard it from Usman talk about how it gets harder going from fight to fight, defending the belt. Jon Jones was like that. GSP was like that. And she might be in that phase right now, but there is people coming up that I think if she wins this fight, she's definitely next up. It's going to be Valentina Shevchenko against Erin Blanchfield. I think I've thought about it since the Erin Blanchfield fight. I thought maybe put her in there with Santos. No, I think you have to go with it. Iron's kind of hot right now, and go with Erin Blanchfield to kind of fight the winner of this one in any way. So she's shown progression in her game. We've seen her get takedowns. We've seen her get submissions. That's something that when you look back a couple of years ago, you probably never fathomed coming from Alexa Grasso, for the simple reason she's a really good boxer, really good straight shots, moves fairly well, but I just don't think she's as an overall better striker, that like Valentina uses kicks. I think she can get pretty much, I don't want to say easy takedowns, but I think if she was to get on the body or trips, I think she will get Alexa down predominantly. I think if Alexa could land something that really hurt Valentina, but I think I read somewhere that Valentina's got like takedowns in pretty much every fight except for the Nunes ones, or one of the Nunes ones. So that's a lot of fights in the UFC. So she's going to get takedowns here. She's probably going to get top time. I can see maybe Alexa showing us maybe some good takedown, getting back up from takedowns. But for me, it's hard to really come out here and confidently pick Alexa Grasso. I mean, you're going from Ji Kim to Jojo, Macy Barber, that's a good win. Viviane Araujo, good win. But this girl's been fighting all these girls and more and beating them. Like, she's been fighting good girls. For me, I picked Valentina. I think a submission is in play for Valentina here. Watch the countdown show. Seeing she's been out in Japan there, training and getting ready for this fight. Yeah, it's going to be hard to kind of go away from picking Valentina. So I'll pick Valentina. I'm going to pick a submission in probably rounds 3, 4, or 5 in the late spell of that one there. And the main event of the night, we have the return of the GOAT. Jon Jones against Ciryl Gane is our main event here for the vacant UFC Heavyweight Championship. And I've had some people I've been talking to in the last week, and initially I was on one side, and then yesterday I spent majority of my day watching Jon Jones fights from, now we're going back a long time, but once you kind of get into a process of just watching fights, you're just, the talent this guy has, I was in awe. Like, I'm a massive Jon Jones fan, like a huge Jon Jones fan. You don't fly, for me, you don't fly all the way from Scotland to Las Vegas to go and watch anybody. Jon Jones was on the top of that card. I was there. I did that a couple of times beforehand. I've bought Jon Jones merch. I've had hats, shirts, hoodies, you name it. And it's been hard to kind of defend him with some of the things that he's done. And you can't defend him because he's made some stupid bonehead moves in his career. But as a fighter, one of the best ever. But recently, far from that. I think he's been very lackadaisical. I don't think he had a challenge. I think you need to challenge this guy to get the best out, and I don't think he was getting it through this, pretty much from here onwards, from 2018. I mean, he fought far too close here for my liking against Anthony Smith. It's the same with Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes. I mean, he should be finishing these guys, but I just don't think I don't know. I don't think the drive was there to really do it. So I think, or the fear, I don't think he was he feared losing those fights at all. He thought he was the better fighter, showed that he did. People were saying that Reyes should have beat him. I don't think so. I really don't think so. But this is a challenge. It's a new division. And I think this is going to bring out the best in Jon Jones. Now, this to me, Jon Jones actually last night, I was on Ciryl Gane a week ago, and then I watched Jon Jones recently, and I was like, even though he's not fighting to his full capability, he's still pretty dominant in his fights, and he's still got a lot to like. Now, the physical advantages he had at 205 are not there anymore in the slightest. His 84 reach is kind of negated. He's still got a reach advantage over Ciryl Gane, but it's negated. That the size is kind of negated a little bit because he was massive at 205 and has been for years. But being in the heavyweight division against athletic guys like Ciryl Gane, that's all kind of put to the wayside. He's still on par with them, but like I say, now he's fighting guys his own size with big power, big speed, and some in Cyryl's spot here, big athleticism. So a week ago, I was like, "Oh, dog, this scared me." I was like, Ciryl Gane is going to win this fight. I thought that just the recent fights we've seen from Jon Jones is really going to come to maybe into Ciryl Gane's kind of wheelhouse here. But in doing so, I think that Jon Jones put some feelers out there yesterday. Like, his best wrestler that he's fought is Francis Ngannou, and he made an all-time big bad mistake in that fight, going for a heel hook, where if he lay on top, I do think that he could have won that fight. But he made a bonehead move, went for the heel hook. That did not work out well, and he lost the fight. So, for me in this one, Ciryl Gane was going to be my pick. I'm going to go with Jon Jones. I think that his wrestling's going to come to fruition here, and he looks a bit of a tank there. So I'm going to pick Jon Jones. I don't know whether I'm going to bet it. I think I'm going to stay out the road with this one, but I'm going to pick Jon Jones for the win here. But I don't hate a shot in Ciryl Gane at plus money. It's hard going back in your gut feeling, but when I watched Jon Jones yesterday, I'm just like, geez, man, this guy was an absolute killer back in the day. Not recently, but yeah, I'm going to pick Jon Jones. I think the wrestling's going to be a little bit too much here, but we will see. Until then, guys, appreciate you. All the very, very best. Enjoy this card when it comes round. If you're still here, throw a like in the video. It really does help me out. I see I've got 15 people here. If you 15 people could do that, if you haven't already, it'd be massive. So please, please help me out and try and get some algorithm back on here. So, Moyes Audio, as always, hope you're well, my man. Stephen, always every week, see you in here. Got to go, Jones, there from Dirty Rage. Guys, until next week, all the very, very best. Enjoy UFC 285. I'm maybe trying to do a live stream on Thursday night, talking a little bit more about the fights there. But until then, guys, take care. All the best. I appreciate everyone for tuning in here. Thank you very much. See you soon.